Welcome to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast, where it's always about sharing uplifting, encouraging stories. I'm your host, Jody Sheffield, and where we have real conversations with people from all around the world, sharing their stories, what they've been through, what they've gone through. My mission for this podcast is to uplift and inspire and to remind people that their stories matter. Everyone has a story, and in a world filled with noise and negativity, this place is for honesty and to share hope and human connection with real stories. We shine a light on good and celebrate resilience and encourage one another to keep going. This world needs more encouragement, more kindness, more real stories that remind people that they are not alone. So, if you have a story you'd love to share, something you've been through and gone through, I'd love to have you on. Reach out to me and let's get you on Chit and Chat. I hope in this episode and every episode you get something out of it. I just want to encourage somebody out there. We have great people sharing their stories and great music as well. You're watching Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Are you getting hungry? Head on down to Tequila and Tequila Street in Silverdale, where they have 6 kinds of tacos waiting for you. Perhaps get your order to go and take it home. Maybe buy lunch for someone. And come on down and try our great tasting flavors, chimichangas, grilled jalapenos, and much, much more. And buy a gift card for that special someone. Get a platter for the whole family and have some great tasting, authentic Mexican food and street fries as well. That's Tequila and Tequila Street in Silverdale. Great tasting, authentic Mexican food made fresh. Think you're smart? Perfect. Time to prove it. Head over to Kids Up Great Escape and put those expert escape skills to the test. Grab your friends, your family, maybe that coworker who claims they can escape anything. Let's see how confident they are when the clock is ticking. Because once that timer starts, you'll be yelling random numbers and blaming each other for the wrong guesses and arguing about which lock goes to which key and somehow bonding harder than ever. That's team building at its finest. Stuck? No shame. The game masters are there to guide you when your brilliant strategy suddenly disappears. Make it out in time, you might make it on the leaderboard with your team's name on the headlights. So think of something legendary. Ready to book? Call them at 360-633-7512 or head over to kidsupgreatescape.com and book your room today. You'll find them at 9481 Silverdale Way in Silverdale, Washington. They have great rooms to conquer, 3 of them actually: Submergency, Mystical Manor, and for those who can unleash your inner detective, Kidnap County. And there's another escape room under construction, so be sure to follow their Facebook page so you'll know when it opens. Before you leave, check out their merchandise to help you remember that time you were locked in a room for an hour. Coins, pens, apparels, maybe to help you just tolerate you're with for an hour. At the Kidnap Great Escape in Silverdale. The only question is, are you getting out? Hi there, and welcome back to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast, where it's always about encouraging others and sharing positive stories from all walks of life. I love reaching out to people, getting a story, and sharing it with you. So thank you for joining today. Got a fun interview lined up, but before that, I'm playing you a song by Mr. Eddy Mann. His song is a contemporary Christian song, reflects on the crucifixion of Jesus described in Luke chapter 23. The song centers on the exchange between Jesus and the repentant thief who was on the cross, and using the scene to explore themes of sacrifice and mercy and transformation. I'm honored to be playing his music today. This is Eddy Mann, When I Was Saved.
There lives a glimpse of that faithful day when they led him away. The mourners followed, they followed and prayed. The day when I was saved. to save the day my best friend died. Truly, he said, clear and concise. He was lovingly so precise. You'll be with me in paradise, the day when I was saved, the day when I was saved.
Are you ready for a fun interview? I had so much fun talking to my guest today. I was laughing, my eyes were watering, I was crying, and it was so much fun. Today I had the joy of introducing a story of a lady who saw a need, picked up a ladle, I kid you not, and turned compassion into a movement. It's hard to believe that I came across her story about 8 years ago. I was watching on Facebook a series called Returning the Favor, featured by Mike Rowe. And he went out to different communities and found, as he called them, bloody do-gooders who went above and beyond to help in their community. And they featured a show on her, and I was just glued to it. It was so powerful. Sadly, that series doesn't show anymore. You can go back and watch it, but I love that series Mike Rowe did. So I want to thank Mike Rowe for doing that show. I was able to connect with my guest today, and her episode really drew me in. So I reached out to Ginger Passarelli, aka Mama Ginger, and she is the founder of the Soup Ladies, a nonprofit that shows up when to help first responders with food, soup, sandwiches. They go to wildfires, they go to disasters. Ginger and her team make fresh home cooked meals and serve them to many emergency responders. And their pink and white trucks have become a symbol of comfort, of care, and unwavering support. But what inspires me most about Ginger, Mama Ginger, isn't just the meals she serves, it's the heart behind them. She reminds us that encouragement doesn't always have to come in grand gestures or some big, extravagant whatever. Sometimes it comes in a bowl of soup, a sandwich, a warm smile, and a simple act of showing up when others are weary or tired. So today, I'm diving into her journey as she started the Soup Ladies nearly 26 years ago. I know her story will lift your spirits, spark your courage, and remind you that every one of us have the power to make a difference, one act of kindness at a time. So please settle in, take a deep breath, let's get ready to be inspired, and welcome in Ginger Passarelli, or as I call her, Mama Ginger. Well, welcome, Mama Ginger, to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one, another podcast. I'm so glad to have you on today and hearing your story. Welcome. How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well.
Good.
I came across your story about 7 or 8 years ago. And when Mike Rowe had a show, shout out to Mike Rowe. I never had him on the show, but I'd love to get him on the show. But he had a show called Returning the Favor. And that's how I got introduced to the Soup Ladies. So that was so awesome. We'll share more about Mike Rowe, that venture. But that's how I got connected and found out about the Soup Ladies.
That's awesome. We get out and about a little bit. So
I'm so excited to hear about your remarkable work and what you're doing for emergency responders. Can you just kind of start from the beginning? How did the idea, the concept of the Soup Ladies begin?
well, it's pretty simple, as most good things start out very, very simple. I was I hadn't been in church in a long time, and I was going through a divorce, didn't know, uh, didn't have anything really to give. You know how you end up in these situations, and um, I started going to this church, and I thought, well, I could make a pot of soup. So I started making a pot of soup. First Sunday, I'd bring it to church, and everybody would stay and eat soup. And the church was very small at the time, but then it started growing and getting bigger. And so I was making one pot, and then I'm making two pots, and then that's not enough. And then we ended up with a whole team of volunteers and stuff. And it turns out, you know, how everything has steps. Because I had a crew of people, I had a budget to work with. I was able to get an SBA loan to buy a restaurant, even though I only did this on Sundays. It was awesome.
That's God's
So,
work right there.
yeah, you think? Yeah, it was pretty darned awesome. So, anyway, we ended up with a restaurant for 15 years, and we worked out of that, feeding first responders. And we'd get phone calls, and we'd be in the middle of a dinner shift, and I'd get a phone call, and I'd go around all the tables at the restaurant and say, "Hey, Soup Ladies just got called out to a fire, and so I'm going to have to leave. So that means we're going to be shorthanded. So please be, you know, a little gracious with us."
Mhm.
And people would bust their own tables, and if somebody got up to get more coffee, they'd make sure everybody else got coffee. I mean, there was people who knew how to run the coffee pot at the restaurant just because they wanted to help.
That's
So it
awesome.
wasn't really like a restaurant, it was like a community gathering place, which
Yeah,
is a very cool thing.
that's more like a family restaurant than
Yep,
your business restaurant.
definitely family. Absolutely.
So what got
Absolutely.
you remember the first call you brought food to, an emergency or a fire or whatever? If you met the first call and the firefighter's like, "Whoa, food's showing up. This is weird."
Well, and actually, I do remember the very first call. The pastor at my church was a chaplain for the fire department, and he called me up, and he never called me unless he needed something. And so I answered the phone. I said, "What do you need, Steve?" And he goes, "Oh, we got a fire here at Four Corners, and they've been on it for about 6 hours, nothing to eat or drink. Can you help me out?" And that was even before we had the restaurant. I
Mm,
was just doing soup at church. And so I said, "Okay." I said, "How many people do you need to feed?" And he said, 50. And I said, "Okay, I'll see you in an hour." And then I hung up the phone and went, "Oh no, what did I just say?" And so I did. I made it an hour, and they got sandwiches, but I didn't have the restaurant at the time. But you know, uh, you just make things happen. You
mhm.
know, you just make it happen.
So how long has it been since you formed the Soup Lady? I read it was like 26 years. Is that accurate or that?
It's about 25, 26 years, but I was
Wow.
doing it for years before that
Yeah,
at
yeah.
church. So, I mean, that's another probably 4 or 5 years
Okay.
before that. So over 30 years.
Have you always had a heart for like firefighters and police officers and just want to help? You know, they go on the call. You never know what to expect if they'll come home, how big the fire emergency is, and have that some support, even just a bowl of soup or a sandwich. I think speaks volumes. What do you think?
Well, I've always had a place in my heart for police officers and firefighters, but it wasn't like uh, I went specifically to do this in the first place. It just never crossed my mind. I just didn't want to get stopped for sure.
Right.
And so I, you know, I mean, and I'd never want the fire to be showing up at my house because something would be really bad happening. And so I just, you know, I've always had a love for them and grateful for them. Really not much, not a ton of interaction with them uh, before, but when we went to, I've been doing soup at church for quite a while, and then um, uh, we were sitting in church one Sunday morning, and they were calling for helpers to go down to Mississippi or Louisiana or uh, New Orleans after Katrina.
Hmm.
And so I just looked at my husband and I didn't even have to say anything. He just said, yes, you can go. And so I went. I went down to, we ended up in Mississippi on the beach, and we were cooking in like one of those driveway things you park your car under.
Hmm.
It was like a tent. It was like oh, a arched tent thing,
Yeah.
and we were cooking on barbecues and driveway turkey fryers and anything that would make heat, we were cooking on it. And so we were cooking for the only people allowed in that area, and I don't know how I ended up in that place in the first place, but the only people that we were feeding were first responders. So that was cool. Didn't really think a whole ton about it, but it was it was very, they were the ones there and we fed them. And um, then I was talking with, when I got back from Mississippi after that first trip, I called the fire chief from two different uh, departments and said, I need to talk to you guys. And so they came to my restaurant and we were closed and we sat down. I said, is this true? You guys just get stuck out on a scene and there's nobody to take care of you? And they go, oh, yeah, that's the way it's always been. And I
Wow.
went, oh, that's wrong. And
Wow.
so I said, well, if you guys are on a fire, just call me and I'll bring you food. And then as I started questioning and finding out more things and stuff, finding out what we as volunteers need to do, we started taking incident command training through FEMA. We started working with and getting training on how to conduct ourselves on a scene, what we can do, what we cannot do. And over the years, we've just gotten really good at this, unfortunately, fortunately,
Hmm.
because when we get called, there's nothing good happening.
Right. Right.
And so we were able to just really uh, just start feeding them, and they received us well. And then we went, I think we went down to California for some fires. And so we were cooking down there, and we just started making ourselves available, you know, not saying no, just always
Right.
showing up. Yep, yep,
So fast forward to today, you have a team of volunteers that go
yep,
across the United States.
yep.
Uh, did you any idea that this would grow to that length of state to state? That's
Not
crazy.
a clue. No, I couldn't even make this stuff up. I mean, when we were cooking and we've cooked in some really weird spots, and I was actually, I think it's either in the next day or two is going to be the anniversary of the Oso mudslide. And I don't know
Hmm.
if you remember that, but
Yep.
we were up there from day one and we were there for 16 days feeding all the first responders that were digging for remains. And so that people could say goodbye to their loved ones. And
Mm.
that's got to be up in the top two worst ones we were on. And we were cooking, and now we only did lunch and dinner, and we had crews of people. We were getting volunteers that wanted to come in and help us, but we also had to make sure everyone was background checked and nobody came in our kitchen, nobody touched our food. We had to figure out how to line up security. These were all kind of new things for
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
We did have volunteers, but we didn't have near enough. Plus, when you're outside of your normal area, you're two counties away.
Mhm.
It makes a difference on making sure you have the right volunteers for you. And so we were up there putting out, you know, between 400 and 500 meals for lunch and then 400 and 500 for dinner. So anywhere from 800 to 1,000 meals a day.
Wow.
Um, and, they were so grateful for a hot meal. And we were making, pot roast and um, don't tell anybody because this is a secret. So we were cooking in a church up in Arlington, and when I make pot roast, I always use red wine, and I
Mhm.
simmer the meat in red wine. Well, we're cooking in a church, so I had to get up really early on this Sunday morning, and I'm sneaking in boxes of wine and covering up the meat with garlic and red wine, and we've got it all popped in the oven, and then I told this one guy, I said, take these boxes and put them in black garbage bags and go put them in the dumpster. And we had like a box or two of wine left, and I said, wrap these up in the black garbage bags and shove them in behind the passenger seat and shove the seat back as far as you can, because I should it's only got two seats and I'm not supposed to have alcohol within reach of the driver. And he goes, yes, ma'am, I know that. I'm a cop. And I so so I'm sure nobody said anything to anybody, but anyway, I made the pot roast. We snuck wine into the church, and all the guys up on the pile had pot roast with mashed potatoes and gravy and carrots and a good Sunday dinner, and they're freezing their butts off, and they're in the mud all day
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
and freezing, and it's cold and it's raining, and to get a good hot meal was the best part of their day, and I had so many of them tell me that. That
That's
was the
awesome.
best part of their day,
That
is
is so
having a
awesome.
hot meal.
Yeah. It was Sacramento wine.
Yeah, it was, and it was blessed, and and then there was this other gal who she had a pie company up there in Snohomish County, and I didn't know who she was, and I'm asking around, and she wanted to donate desserts for all these people up there, and I don't know who she is, and so I'm asking all the cops, "Do you know of this place? Do they have a storefront?" So I did, Googled some stuff and found out, yes, indeed, she had a storefront. So I called her back and I said, "Okay, I'll let you donate to
Mhm. Of
us, because I mean I have to be real careful." And
course.
so anyway, so she donated a bunch of desserts one day, and so on a Sunday she said, um, we had we had a fundraiser, and it was buy a slice, get a slice. And so they had like over 400 slices of pie were donated to take up to the pile. And and so I said, show up here Sunday morning, um, at the church where we're cooking at. I said, show up here, come alone. And so instead of transferring the stuff from one truck to the other, I put a soup lady apron on her and I said, follow me, and just anyway, so we went through the roadblock, and I said, the gal behind me has dessert, so just let her through. And so they let
Mhm.
her through, and we went up and we fed everybody, and then we got fed everybody dessert, and she made all these fabulous pies and cookies, and I said everything had to be handheld, so
Mhm.
they had to make these special little pies and wrapped, because these guys are coming off the pile and they're filthy and they're contaminated,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we had to keep them all safe. So, I said, this is how I need them packaged, and it needs to be done exactly like this. And she did. And so it was, y- sometimes you zig, sometimes you zag, but you got to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
How
you
would you
just do it.
how would you describe the mission and the heart of the Soup Ladies to someone not knowing about what you guys do, and probably never heard you before? Just what all do you do, and how fast can you be out the boots in the ground for an emergency? You know, I'm sure you're a phone call away. Let's pack up the truck and let's
Yeah.
go. There's time. Emergencies are always time sensitive.
Yes, they
If you
are.
will. Yeah.
Very time sensitive. So when we get a phone call, if I'm in my kitchen, we can usually be out the door within an hour. If I'm a ways from my kitchen, whatever time it takes me, if I'm a half hour away or whatever, then just add a half hour to our delivery time.
Hmm.
And then the distance to drive. Once we cook, how far do we have to drive? Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours. So it just depends on what it is. But we try and be out the door as fast as we possibly can. And just with hot food, So usually from the time I start cooking until we're ready or pretty close to being ready, 45 minutes to an hour, and then out the door with food for 100.
Wow. I want to go back to returning the favor for a second,
Mhm.
meeting Mike Rowe, and the thankfulness from your community, getting an awesome retro trailer. That was incredible. What
It
did
is
that
very
mean?
awesome.
What did that mean to you of all the community coming together, thanking you for the amazing work that Soup Ladies have done and are doing? What was that like to you?
It was so amazing. That whole day was just I was so blown away. The trailer is fantastic. The um the fact that so many of the community, when we were pulling up, my daughter was in the truck with me, and we were pulling up and there was all these vehicles, and I thought, oh well, the fire station has a big room. There must be some kind of meeting going on. But I wasn't really paying that much attention. And then I started seeing all the Bearcats and the boats and all the police cars and stuff, and I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? And and I was like, okay, well, I'll find a place to park. Well, yeah, I sure did. And then we got surprised, and just I was blown away. I probably cried for 3 days after that happened. It was such a beautiful, you know, that the community came so together to get this
Mhm.
done so fast. Same thing when we went to New York when the Ford Foundation gave us a truck. We have 4 trucks now.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, so Ford gave us one, Maple Valley Rotary gave us one. Um, uh, Reagan Dunn from the King County Council, he got 2 trucks for us that were being retired from the sheriff's office. So, and we use them all because we respond all over the area.
Yeah, I rewatched that episode last night. I had to go digging in Mike Rowe's Facebook to find it. I found it. I rewatched it. And I love when you pulled up. You're like, I ain't got enough food for all these people.
I know. I know, I know, because I always worry about running out of food, and that's only happened one time. It's never happened again. So I felt so bad because those poor people had nothing to eat. But I ran to Safeway and grabbed sandwiches. So that was not. I mean, if you can't zig, you zag. You just make it happen.
Yeah, it was a great series of Mike Rowe returning the favor. I wish it was still on because it was so positive as he
Ab-
met communities. I would love to
Absolutely.
meet him and restart it because that was I love what he. I watched a lot of those shows. I'm my
I
eyes are
watched
watering
all of
just
them.
hearing your story. So it was
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
Um, would you mind sharing about the experiences that maybe an event that you were able to connect with someone at a response, maybe face to face, heart to heart, a conversation you might have had with someone, and how powerful it is seeing your ladies there and bringing a sandwich, a bowl of soup, and how impacting it is to them. I mean, many hours there into a situation, and I'm sure it's very just humbling when you have to talk to someone and get their story.
It's very, very humbling. I'm so grateful we get to do what we do, and and this has happened many, many times. We have been down to, um, well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't. Well, who cares? Okay. We have been down to the southern border during a previous administration. We went down there a dozen times
Mm,
to different border stations, sector offices, and fed the first responders, fed the border agents.
mm,
And I do remember one particular day when we were down there, and they were hated. They were treated vile. It was awful.
wow.
And I remember we try not to just put our food on a table. We try and hand each person a bowl of soup. And I just remember this one guy, I gave him a bowl of soup, and I always try and look him in the eye and say, thank you so much for your service. And we're so grateful for you. And this guy gets all teary eyed. He's got his bulletproof vest on and his big old long gun, and and he's got tears in his eyes because somebody handed him a bowl of soup.
Wow.
And, I've always remembered that particular one just because it really did touch my heart. And
Mhm.
that's why we do what we do. It isn't because of anything else. It's the people that we get to see face to face and feed them and love on them and um, treat them like people.
Yeah. How many volunteers do you have, and how does it work when you're have kind of multiple emergency like other people who lead groups for you?
Yep.
How does that work for you?
We do have team leaders, and we have several of those. And when we get a phone call, according to what area it is it in the north end of Puget Sound? Is it in the south end? Is it over on the peninsula? Is it something where we're going to have to leave the state to go respond? So it just depends on what the incident is. We have about 50 volunteers. We have about 8 team leaders, and actually about I think it's 7 or 8 of our soup ladies are also police chaplains.
Oh wow.
And so that has been absolutely critical training because when you're talking to people and they're emotionally vomiting on you, which they do because when you're feeding them, you're like the mom.
Hmm.
And to have that training has been really, truly vital. And I've been a police chaplain for about 18 years.
Oh wow.
And so having that and knowing how to respond and walk with them, not, oh, I'm so sorry that's happening to you. Well, what can we do further than that? What can we do more? What can we do better?
Hmm.
And that's what we do. So um, just being able to speak to them without saying too much stupid stuff.
Right. I think
Like, oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I
right.
mean, you've just had to, recover a dead body out of whatever, you want to be able to walk with them, not you're with them, you're not on the outside.
Right. A lot of people just want someone to be there to be there.
Yep,
You don't say a word, a hug,
yep,
uh, a bowl of
yep,
soup.
yep.
It does wonders. It really does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what have you learned about the power of food? Not just nourishment, but also the way to heal people. Comfort them, connect with them, unite with
Yep,
them. I'm sure you have a lot of smiles, laughter along the way, but sadness as well when you're
absolutely.
facing communities come together in different emergency situations, and you really
Yep,
bond with your community.
yep. I've always, and I've said this for years, that the dining room table is an altar.
Mm,
People gathering around the table is a sanctuary. This is where people will open their hearts and talk to you about all kinds of stuff. I know stuff I'm not supposed to know. People tell me
mhm.
because they know me, they trust me. I've been around. I didn't go anywhere. We've been doing this for 25 years now. Um, uh, there's a level of trust there that has been earned too. It's not. It's because you show up every single time.
Right.
So,
In the midst of the chaos, especially in some very high stressful and heartbreaking emotions, how does your team emotionally stay grounded in trying to, just be a beacon of hope for people in stressful situations?
well, believe it or not, and I mean, some people think, oh, isn't that nice? These nice little ladies in aprons show up. And you know what? We see and hear a lot.
Mm.
And that's why we have trained people on our team and we debrief after every incident.
Oh
We
wow.
have to, just
Yeah.
like the fire department does, just like the police department does, because, and one particular event that got to me, and that's why I became a chaplain to take care of our soup ladies. Um, there was a car that went into the Green River, and this was many years ago. So my granddaughter's like 22 now. So, and she was about 2 at the time. So this was
Hmm.
20 years ago. A car went into the river, and it took them 5 days to get this car out of the river. And I think it was near Thanksgiving time when they were able to do that. And everybody was crying because this little toddler was still buckled in his car seat. And every cop there was crying. Everybody was, I mean, it's hard. It's awful. It's
Yeah.
holidays. And I just remember going back to my kitchen about 3 days afterwards. I was cooking at the restaurant. The cook wanted the night off. So I said, okay, I'll cover the kitchen. And I started crying and I couldn't stop crying. And I was like, what the heck? So the next day I called up a chaplain friend and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I couldn't stop crying. And he said, well, that's post-critical incident stress. And I said, what the hell is that? I didn't know what that was, but when you go to these things, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been to all kinds of stuff that was way worse than this, but this is the one, and probably because of the 2-year-old in the car seat,
Hmm.
same age as my granddaughter. And I was like, I can't, I didn't know what to do with it. And so that's when I became a chaplain. That's when I decided who takes care of our soup ladies, because nobody really thinks about us. We're just in there, we feed them, and then we leave. We're
Right, right.
rarely on a scene more than 45 minutes, maybe an hour if there's a bunch of people just wandering in from the woods. So we're not on scene for a long time, but we were kind of, you come and then you go. And, somebody needed to take care of our soup ladies. And so we just made sure that happened.
My dad was a volunteer firefighter in Camden, Arkansas for
Mm,
20 plus years,
yep,
full-time job. He'd get home, the alarm would go off. And when volunteers are needed, he'd be on the road
yep,
and fighting fires. I spent many Christmases at fire departments, meeting
yep,
firemen, police officers. So much
yep,
respect goes out, and EMTs.
yep.
So much respect goes out for those guys who 24/7 are on they're not off the clock. They may
Nope,
be home, but
yep,
they're phone call away or text away
yep,
for
yep.
an alarm emergency. So I think that's so critical that you're there for those individuals and people who are putting in 24 hours a day trying to save someone and you you know hour shifts as they help
Yep,
each other out. So
yep.
what you do is so important and critical.
My daughter is a deputy.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, I know what you mean, how many family dinners have been interrupted by a pager?
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
long ago it's been. I mean, of course they don't have pagers now, but I wore one for the fire department for years, and um, just to monitor calls, just from the comm center, whether it was police or fire. I knew what was happening, so that if it went on or they were asking for more resources, then I knew it was my time to call dispatch and say, hey, I see you guys are asking for more resources. Do you guys need the soup ladies to come out and feed those guys and gals? And they say, hold on just a second. And then they'll come back on the phone and say, they would love for you to come up there. So, we monitor things, keep an eye on things, just
Mhm.
because I don't want people going 8, 10, 12 hours without any food. I
Yeah.
want them to be fed and loved and well cared for.
Is there something that you wish more people understood about the emotional and physical demands that are placed on first responders? Seeing it face to face in Katrina and Oso and all these national disasters and emergencies that youth teams has faced.
Well, you know, just being able to serve them, being able to be invited in to help them, because, of course, they're big, tough people, because they're firefighters or they're police. And, uh, they, with me, they've, you know, uh, been more open and, yeah,
The
we
guard
need
comes
you
down.
here.
The guard
Yeah.
comes down a little bit.
Yeah. And, we need you here. We really need some food, but we also, I'll get out of the truck when I pull up to a scene and say, Oh, I'll bet you guys are hungry. Do you need some food? And I can't tell you how many times either a firefighter or a police officer, a deputy or whatever, and they go, "We could sure use a hug. We could sure I need a hug
Uh,
before anything else." And and I don't think people realize because everything here is nowadays is so political. And we were down at the ICE facility in downtown Portland. We were there for 2 weeks in the fall, I think it was. Oh my gosh, I got so much hate mail. So much. I mean, and people were calling and threatening me and gonna kill me and cut me up into little pieces and throw me in the river and they'll never find all the parts and blah blah blah, just ugh, and it's like I've got 13 grandchildren. I'm not I'm not so tough,
mhm.
And I mean, we even had, the ICE agents even had the FBI come over and listen to some of the voicemails, where they were shooting off guns and, why are you here? Why are you feeding these people that are ripping apart families and killing babies? Blah, blah, and they're just saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And uh, I'm like, we're just feeding for, and they were saying things like ICE agents are not law enforcement. Well, sorry to tell you this, but yes, they are law enforcement. And any first responder, we're going to feed, we're going to take care of them. And we got called to Minneapolis, to help out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
And oh man, what a hubbub, uproar over that. Just everything is so political. And I even had soup ladies quit because they didn't think it was right that we were feeding ICE agents. Well, yes, it is right that we feed ICE agents.
That-
Absolutely.
That's crazy. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I know.
Oh,
So, when you're listening to your voicemail and you're going, is that, couldn't tell if it's a firecracker or gunshots, and it's like, I'm a grandma. You
has
know,
it, was there
I
ever a
know.
time, has there ever been a time where you like, maybe it's time to stop? Or you're like, nope, I'm going till as far as I can go. I want to get my team as big as I can get and just keep on going for years to come.
Oh, I've said this many times. They'll have to take me out feet first to quit this. I'll do this until I'm dead. I can't see me ever quitting. I will do this till I'm dead. And that's a calling,
Hmm. Amen.
when you
Hmm.
don't lose the love you have for the people you're serving, that's a calling. And so, yeah, I'll do this until I'm dead.
How many are on your team? 50, 100, 200?
We have about we have about 50.
And they're
And
all
then I
volunteer
have what?
and they're all volunteers too?
All volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I got police. I mean, we went down to the southern border and I had two retired deputies with me. And, going into an Airbnb with a couple of detectives, retired detectives, and they're pulling sheets back on the beds. And they were looking for stuff and they found it and they go, yep, we're not staying here. We're going to a hotel. And I won't tell you what they found, but it was like they look differently at things than I do, which is like, I wouldn't even have noticed these things, but for
Mhm.
them, it was a big deal. But, so glad they're with me because, uh, you know, they know what to watch for. They know how to keep me safe, which is great.
Keep mama safe.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I was we were in a car with an ICE agent, and this is how crazy these Antifa people are. They're nuts. They're certifiable. And so we were I think it was when we were in Minneapolis, and this ICE agent was driving, and um, he's going around this traffic circle a couple of times. And I leaned over to him and I said, "Are you lost?" And he goes, "No, we're being followed." And I'm going, Okay. I'm so glad that people with me have guns, because, I mean, it's like, I'll bet sometimes I'd like to go talk to those people and say, I'll bet your mom is just proud, you know?
Yeah.
Wow, you're so tough. You gotta harass a 70-some-year-old grandma. A bunch of bozos. Whoops. And that will be the clip that ends up on CNN. Oh, what a bunch of bozos. But, good grief.
Oh, my eyes are watering. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Well, yeah, because I'm such a threat, you should be afraid of me.
You eat you
Oh,
with
geez.
a ladle and a bowl of soup.
That's right. Yeah, I could protect myself throwing soup on them. It'll burn them because it's always up to temperature. So if there's any health department people listening, yeah, we know our temperatures. And 140 degrees will scald you. So
I believe music heals the body physically and mentally, but there's nothing like a homemade meal made with
yep,
love that can break
yep,
through exhaustion, fear, or
yep,
stress.
yep.
That's so awesome. That's so cool that you guys do that. When you think about your legacy, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind of the soup lays and the impact they have made throughout the United States in helping emergency personnel and law enforcement?
Well, boy, I hope they remember us. I'm still in touch with people after the kerfluffle in Washington, D.C. We cooked inside the U.S. Capitol building. We were feeding Capitol police officers.
Wow.
And we actually had one of them take us up on the roof of the U.S. Capitol building. I got some of the best pictures of Washington, D.C. you've ever
Oh my
seen.
goodness.
We've been able to go to places and show love. And this last year, we've been down to Portland. We've been, I think we went to maybe one or two fires. We don't do fires too much anymore. But any kind of a large scale incident we get called to, and I kind of keep quiet about some of this stuff because just for our safety.
Right,
I
right.
need to keep our soup lady safe. So,
Mhm.
but we've been able to, respond and go to quite a few different things that um, might surprise you, And I'm so glad we get to go to these things because these people are discouraged
Yeah,
and
they're
and
hurting.
you know one of the things that really kind of got to me this on one particular trip I've been on, and I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to say who we were serving, but I just think that these people who protect us could be taken care of better. And I hope that if there's anybody listening to this that has the ability to make an invitation, because we never ever go anywhere without an invitation. But when we went into and I'm using air quotes, a kitchen
Mhm.
in another location, and I saw jars of peanut butter and jelly and loaves of bread. That's what they were eating when we got there
Mm.
because they've got a job to do. And to me, that's a huge sacrifice. They don't even get a decent meal because they're deployed
Yeah.
or, and MREs and stuff like that. Um, I just want us to show them that they're appreciated for the sacrifice. We can't obviously go to every incident and make sure nobody eats an MRE again or a peanut
Mhm.
butter sandwich, but we can um, just do the best we can. And
Yeah.
we can be invited anywhere, you know, to help out. We just have to have that invitation.
My podcast is about encouraging others and sharing positivity. Has someone encouraged you and just say, maybe site to site or individual is that, you know what? what you do is amazing. We thank you so much. I'm sure hugs and tears all around the people who just the impact you've made on lives. Probably
Yep.
200,000 meals you guys have done over the 26 years, 25
Oh, it's
years.
way more than that now.
That's
Yeah.
that's so incredible.
Yep. Well, last year, um, I got a phone call. I got a chance to meet some people in Washington, D.C. when I was there about a year ago. And um, he used to be the chief for Border Patrol for the country. And his wife, now he does something else with, I don't know. Anyway, he's an advisor to Trump or whatever it is he does. Anyway, his wife calls me up and she goes, Mama Ginger, are you where those three little girls were killed? And I said, yes, I am. And she goes, I want to help. And I said, Maryland's a long ways from Leavenworth, Washington.
Mhm.
And she goes, I still want to come. Next morning, 10 a.m., she was in my kitchen in Leavenworth. She flew all night and she worked her ass off. We were
Wow.
cooking meals for Border Patrol, FBI, U.S. Marshals, all of the local county, city, state agencies that were looking for this dirtbag.
Mm,
And 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 we cooked up there and we were serving food and we were very quiet about it. We didn't want, I mean, we don't post pictures or anything when we're on
mhm,
an active scene, but
mhm.
I will tell you, we put out a ton of food and passed out a lot of hugs. And I was really glad that she came from the East Coast to see how we operate because
Right.
we did it right. We do it right every single time. And that's our main goal. And to have uh, just, we get called to pretty hard stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't imagine, I've got two daughters, um, and I can't imagine losing a child,
Yeah.
but I can't even imagine what the mom's going through losing three daughters
Yeah.
all at once. And I mean, the only consolation is Dirtbag was found in pieces.
Mm.
Coyotes probably got him and he was found in pieces, and that's all I know. So um he ended up the way he should.
But someone out there had a tug on their heart to serve. What would you say to them? Do it. Get off your butt and go serve.
Pretty much, yeah. And you said it so eloquently. Maybe I wouldn't have said it quite that nice, So you know, th- if you're if you have a tug in your heart, if you have a nudge, if you have a what is the thing that um you can't get rid of that feeling? What is
Mhm,
that?
mhm.
And that's kind of how the soup ladies happened was you see a need and you meet it and you have a love for a particular person or a particular kind of person, whether it's fire, police. I love the first responders. I'm not saying everybody should go out and feed first responders, but what is the thing that you can't get out of your mind?
Mhm.
What is the way that you can and I can't tell you how many times we were told no. No, you can't do that. No, that, we can't take food from you, and you're a civilian. No, 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 no. Well, gosh, that worked well for them, didn't it?
You need the one
You
yes.
find a way to do it. You just don't
One
take
yes
no
is
for
all
an
you needed.
answer.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
crazy. How do you
Don't take
sustain
no for an
your,
answer.
your mission? How do you being all it's all volunteer? How does that work? Are you funded, or how do you guys get food and all that stuff?
We're a nonprofit.
Okay.
People donate money to us so that we can feed first responders. And 100% of the money that we get goes to taking care of first responders. It might not all be food. I mean, I remember up at OSO, I can't tell you how many hundreds of pairs of socks I bought, socks and underwear, because these guys were up on the pile and they
Hmm.
couldn't go home.
Oh, wow.
No socks and underwear. I mean, I can wear dirty clothes for days, but if I have some clean underwear, I'm all good, man.
Yeah,
I'm good.
pair of clean
So,
socks goes a long way.
yeah, exactly. So, just people donate to us. We take care of first responders, and that's our mission has never changed. Our mission is very narrow. It's narrow. We only feed first responders. We don't feed the general public. There's plenty of organizations that do that.
Mhm.
We just don't. We just don't.
Do you guys
And
have other volunteer positions available if people want to reach out to you to maybe volunteer in the area
absolutely.
of Washington? Okay. And
Yep.
how did it do that?
The best way to do that is go to soupladies.org, click on the volunteer tab, and there's 3 FEMA tests you have to take. You have to understand chain of command. Every organization, police, fire, search and rescue, any of those organizations that we work with and others too, but they're all operated under the incident command system. And you have to take those 3 tests before you can even apply to be a soup lady.
Mm.
And uh, we operate exactly with the way the emergency agencies work. Um, and we follow that same chain of command. We are always in logistics. The logistics chief is the one who calls me. Those are the only people we talk to on scene ever. And that's who assigns us, that's who deploys us. So
Okay.
we operate exactly the way the fire department does or the police department.
Okay. And bringing someone's touches their heart. This podcast touches their heart, and maybe reach out to you and get a few more volunteers and helping you.
Yep.
I'm on the Kitsap County side of Washington, so if you're ever in the area, I'd love to meet you face to face and give you a hug. I,
Oh, I'd love that.
I thank you so much for your mission, your tremendous work that soup players are doing. Your work reminds us that service doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a
Nope.
bowl of soup.
Yep. Yep. Service is not complicated. And like you said, just get off your butt, you know, um, just 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 do it. You don't have, and this is the thing, people are always waiting for an invitation. It's stop that. Just stop waiting for an invitation. How about blaze a trail, man? You know? And quit using excuses. Blah 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 blah.
That's awesome. Yes. I've never smiled so much and my eyes watered so much in an interview. I love your heart,
Oh,
your passion. I just thank you so much for the time. I want to chat with you once you're supper recording. Just thank you personally. But thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate it.
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Craving something sweet, fresh, and downright unforgettable, swing by Lone Star Donuts, where every donut is made hot, handcrafted, and packed with Texas-sized flavor from over 50 flavors. From classic glazed to bold new creations, there's perfect bite waiting for you at Lone Star Donuts. Had a long day? Maybe even a longer week? Come on down to Wine About It, located inside Town Square Mall in Port Orchard, Washington. It's a place where the wine is good and the vibes are cozy, and no one judges you for saying, I'll take that one in pink. Whether you need a break to get away, celebrating a special night, just hanging out with the wife, like I have. Wine About It is a place to be. They offer great wines and charcuterie boards. They're located at 1700 Mile Drive in Port Orchard. They have a Facebook page too. Please go follow it. They have a lot of upcoming events, from trivia night to paint and sip nights. So be sure you follow so you don't miss out. Give them a call at 360-443-2473. Barbara's awesome. She loves to chat with you. Wine About It, because therapy is expensive and wine is delicious. Today's Mental Minute. Take a breath. Right where you are. Not the breath you'd give the world when you're trying to look okay, but the one that reminds you you're still moving, still trying. Life doesn't always give us smooth roads. Some days feels like climbing a mountain with no summit in sight. But even in the middle of the struggle, there is something steady inside you that hasn't given up. That strength may feel small, but small doesn't mean weak. A spark can light a whole room. A step can start a whole journey. Whatever you're facing today, pressure, uncertainty, loneliness, exhaustion, you don't have to have it all together. You just have to keep going. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to start again. And here's the quiet truth. You've already survived every hard day. That's not luck. That's resilience. That's you. So no matter what you're going through, take this minute and remind yourself your story isn't finished, and there is still something good ahead, even if you cannot see it. Keep going. You're doing better than you think. That's today's Mental Minute. Our second song today, I'm excited to share this beautiful song by singer-songwriter Emilie Thorsby. She's a singer from Denmark, and she's an independent artist who blends gentle-pop and folk influences, creating music that feels honest, intimate, and deeply human. Today I'm playing her song Every Night. It's a tender piece that resonates with anyone who feels lonely, reflective, or in need of a quiet moment. It's described as a song that speaks to the lonely heart. And it truly does, offering comfort, vulnerability, and a reminder that none of us walk through nights alone. This is Every Night by Emilie Thorsby.
Every night has been so difficult because the only thing in this world I want was you. That stained my thoughts when life was so tough. I've been so lost in that time now one. Searching back your words our way. Can't deny that you are my best at work. Why can't I just forget about you? Forget you, hush your soul. Forget what we both knew. You were what my heart should not have found. Why can't I just forget about you? Forget you, hush your soul. Forget what we both knew. You were what my heart should not have found. Every night you're walking around, how can I forget your smile, your song? It's been so lonely, so cold. Could you please bring me some? I know it's not the best thing. I know I should stay away, but every night your voice calls out to me. I know it's so hard to get free. Why it's always difficult? Why can't I just reach out to you? I'm standing here like a fool. Every night I'm turning around in my lonely bed. Why does it feel so wrong that your voice is still inside my head? Why can't I just forget about you? Forget you, hush your soul. Forget what we both knew. You were what my heart should not have found. Why can't I just forget about you? Forget you, hush your soul. Forget what we both knew. You were what my heart should not have found. Every night you're walking around, how can I forget your smile, your song? It's been so lonely, so cold. Could you please bring me some? I know it's not the best thing. I know I should stay away, but every night your voice calls out to me. I know it's so hard to get free.
Remember when when music meant something? When the deep cuts on your favorite albums hit harder than the radio singles?
At XWPM Radio, we're bringing that magic back. Not the same old overplayed hits, but B-sides, deep cuts, forgotten gems, the tracks from the artists Gen X grew up with, the songs you should have heard. And we're opening the door for the next generation to discover them too. Support our Kickstarter and help us build a station made for listeners who want more than algorithms and repeats. XWPM Radio. Let's bring real music back.
Thanks so much for joining us today. What started out as a one woman with a pot of soup and a heart for service has grown into a mission that has touched thousands of lives. Ginger, Mama Ginger, story of courage, compassion, and the belief that even in the hardest moments, a warm meal can remind someone that they are not alone. It was so much fun talking to her, hearing about the soup ladies, and I hope Ginger's journey inspires you to look for places where your gifts can meet someone else's needs. Whether it's cooking, encouraging, or volunteering, or simply being present, every act of kindness matters more than you know. If you'd like to learn more about the soup ladies or her support for the mission, I encourage you to follow them and their work at the Soup Ladies Facebook page and a website as well. This world needs more people like Mama Ginger and the moments of compassion like the ones she creates. Thank you for my sponsors as well: Tequiza Street, Lone Star Donuts, Great Escape, and Wine About It. If you're in the Kitsap County area, please check out these amazing businesses. They are so awesome to work with, and there's really cool things from Mexican food to donuts to escape room and a place to chill and get a glass of wine at Wine About It. Please subscribe and follow the podcast. I have several ways: iHeartRadio, Spotify. I put my interviews on YouTube as well and on Facebook. And I have a website, chitandchatpodcast.com. Thanks so much for watching, and continue watching, getting encouraged by people's stories from all over the world. My name is Jody, and this is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast, where it's always about encouraging others. Take care. We'll see you next time.